everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is gonna be the start of a reading vlog in the middle of Thursday. I came back from my vacation about 2 weeks ago and I'm still shocked by the weather because I came back from sunny Thailand and it's heavily snowing. It's very cold here. I don't want to get out of the house at all, even to get groceries, but I had to, and every single time I came out, I wore 5 layers of clothing. I also got tonsillitis immediately after I landed, and I was sick for a week. I think you can still hear that in my voice. The problem that I'm having, basically, is that I am not in the holiday mood at all. It feels like I am currently in the middle of November and we're currently in the middle of December. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to read some holiday romances or holiday books and see if that's gonna help. I've been watching a lot of TV recently instead of reading, which is a crime, honestly, because have you seen my Goodreads challenge? I'm very behind. I really want to read 𝕊𝕆𝕀𝔸𝕃 by Timothy Janovsky, which I have somewhere. And I really want to read Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrun, which is on Scribd, I believe, as an audiobook. And I do own a lot of Hallmark type ebooks that I buy because they're cheap, but I never read them. So I'm going to choose from those. I'm aiming for at least 4 books because holiday books are usually holiday romances are usually very short. So I think I'm gonna be able to fit 4. It's lunch actually and I'm very hungry. So I wanna make myself something that I tried in the airport and I'm now obsessed with. It's pancakes stuffed with eggs and bacon. It's decadent. This is gorgeous, and these eggs, they're farm eggs, are so yellow. They're definitely very different from store-bought. Look at them, just look at them. I cannot wait to eat that. I added some homemade dried tomatoes. My mom got obsessed with drying stuff this summer, so I have a lot of produce, coffee, and an episode of Ted Lasso. Perfect lunch. I went to my parents for the weekends because I didn't have any plans and I just wanted to chill. And I read quite a bit, but I was constantly forgetting to update the vlog just because I am who I am. And it was actually really nice because they clean up the snow here in the city, and while they are also in the city, it's weird. They are sort of in a gated community with houses, and we don't have many houses here. It's not common. So no one cleans the snow and it's really pretty. It's gotten milder, and while I complain about the winter a lot and about the cold weather, when it's this kind of weather, it's really beautiful. So I read quite a bit there. I'm reading 2 books at the same time, and then I came back home today a few hours earlier. And the moment I unpacked everything and put on a clay mask, the fire alarm started blaring. So I had to get out of the apartment and I live quite high up. So I had to do some exercises. In my opinion, that's quite a bit of an exercise. I mean, we all know what happens when the fire alarm is blaring. It's usually someone just smoking inside the building, and we get that a lot during winter because people are too lazy to get outside, to get down and smoke outside of the building. And it's really annoying by now because they take so much time to figure out what happened, and we're all waiting outside. A lot of people just go back in because they don't give a fuck anymore. So that's a bit of a problem. I am a proponent of video cameras at this point because I feel like it must be people that don't live in this apartment complex that just know the code to the building. Let's talk about the bugs. I gotta let go of that situation. I'm reading two at the same time. Surrounds for Me by Alison Cochrun, which I'm listening to on audio, and the audio is chef's kiss. It's really, really good. What I love about it is that while it is definitely a themed romantic comedy, it's a Christmas book through and through. It's not troopy for the sake of being troopy. You know how a lot of Hallmark movies are just all the same? With this book, I feel it has not just tropes, but also soul. It's definitely one of those books that you can read not in season. Alison Cochrun does have a really good writing style. Her debut was not a fluke. She is very talented. I'm really into it. I think it's always telling when I don't just listen to the audiobook when I walk somewhere. I listen to it instead of watching TV. I just want to listen to it, so I make time for it. And it does mean that the book is good. The plot is really cool too. The story follows Ellie, who bumps into a hot girl named Jack in the bookstore. She's new to Portland. She doesn't have many friends. Her mom is an absolute leech of a person. She's really struggling at her new job too. She wants to be a graphic designer. So meeting this girl with whom she has the most incredible day with seems like the best thing that happened to her recently, and really means a lot to her because it feels like they connected so well. You know, it's one of those cases where you go on a date, for example, or just meet a person randomly, and you just have so much chemistry and the connection is so instantaneous that you want to spend like days and days together. Usually people over love bomb in this kinds of situations and nothing comes out of it, but it's something that remains very memorable. Those things stick. They spend this day with each other. I think they hook up, but then something happens in the morning. Ellie's very upset. We don't know what exactly came up, but she feels betrayed by this whole situation. A year passes. Ellie is at the rock bottom. She lost her job and she's now a barista. She earns minimum wage and she is living from salary to salary and is struggling to pay her rent. She asks for a raise at her job and they tell her that they're not going to give her a raise and she can do whatever she wants with her problems. The guy that owns the building, Andrew, I think his name is Andrew, overhears her saying a lot of unflattering things about her employer. She is scared that she's gonna be fired because of it. But then, instead, things don't really go the way they usually go in real life. Andrew decides to give her a lift to her apartment, and while they are on the road, she tells him a little bit about her situation, and he also shares that he needs a fiance to be able to claim his inheritance because his grandfather is a fucking douchebag. And he offers her to fill this position. He agrees to give her a percentage of his inheritance, and they decide to go through with it and go to his family for Christmas to present her as his fiance. Imagine her surprise when she arrives at the family house and the girl that broke her heart, Jack, is there. She's Andrew's sister. At this point, if you read a lot of similar books, it will sound like a cliche, but there's so much emotional depth, as I said, that this book really stands apart from a lot of other books in the same theme. I love the conflict in this situation, and I also love the idea of figuring out what happened a year ago, because both Ellie and Jack act very suspiciously. I am trying not to be judgmental of Jack because I'm seeing her through Ellie's point of view and it's biased, but she's a little bit of a bastard, to be quite honest with you. Even when they met, she was love bombing Ellie a little bit, so I'm kind of on the fence about her character. But it is interesting, it definitely is. There are so many family shenanigans as well, and I love that. My hand has gotten tired, so you're getting the view of the other side of the room. The second book that I'm reading at the same time is an ebook. It's Silent Night by Lily Seabrooke. I think I have another book by this author somewhere. This is a classic Hallmark type romance, and there's nothing wrong with them, but I'm reading two at the same time, 2 books, I mean, and I can't do anything but compare them. It's pretty natural for me to do this, so it does feel less substantial in my opinion so far. It's a smaller, shorter romance, a novella, and it follows Brooke and Nicole. Brooke is from a small town originally. She is now a musician, and she comes back home for Christmas to meet her childhood friend Nicole. Nicole is also queer, which everyone doesn't fail to remind Brooke, because she really needs to know that there's another queer girl on the premises and they need to bang. It was cute at first, but then I was like, I doubt every single person in this town is this invested in your love lives. Like, that's too much. I can't really say that I'm expecting a lot from this story. I think it's gonna be cute. I think it's gonna be conflict-free. I think it's gonna be very cliche. I will still probably enjoy it, but I don't foresee it being very emotional or deep. So this is my update for right now. I am doing a little bit of TV, like the naughty girl I am, so that will need to stop. But I will allow myself to watch a few episodes. Also yesterday I watched a sci-fi Christmas movie. It just came out and it's called Looking for Her. And you can watch it for free on Tubi TV if you're from US or you know how to use a VPN. It's definitely the best queer Christmas romantic comedy that I've ever watched, and I've seen a lot of movies. So you can consider me a bit of an expert. I had such a good time just drinking my cocoa and watching this movie. What I really loved about this, once again, it has a popular trope. The protagonist is looking for an actress to pose as her ex-girlfriend because her parents were not accepting of her and her girlfriend in the past, of her sexual orientation in general. And now, after a few years, they want her to come back and they want her to introduce her girlfriend to them because, you know, they've grown and changed. And she doesn't want to lose because I guess they told her that she's going to break up with her at some point. And she is looking for an actress to pose as her ex-girlfriend. A lot of romantic comedies rely on tropes and unfunny jokes, But this one felt very authentic and genuine, and it's been a while since I watched a romantic comedy that had this vibe. This film spends a lot of time with the characters and their psychology and development. That's why later it feels like it has more ground. I really loved this. It's an indie film, and you can definitely tell sometimes that they didn't have as much budget as they wanted, but they utilized every single penny and they utilized it well. I really love this. I'm going to leave the link in the box below. It's good and it's free. So I think we should all go and, watch it. Okay, everyone, all I need to know is that Kiss Runs for me is absolutely incredible. I gave it 5 stars. That plot twist, I audibly gasped. And honestly, the only thing that prevented me from making a full-on pterodactyl scream was being outside on the street. I was very surprised. I didn't expect that. I expected the whole thing about their past. What is that? Is it a ghost? Is it a ghost prison? No, it's probably just the light from the top. I expected them to suffer from the case of the misunderstanding, because usually in these kinds of stories, the characters separate in the past because something dumb happened and they could not communicate properly. But this time, I think it was more of a serious situation, and actually they diffused it a little bit. I hoped it's gonna be more of a drama, but I'm still very happy with it because it wasn't just stupid. It was pretty serious. I would have done the same thing. So, I can't judge anyone in that situation. Well, I can judge Jack a little bit, but otherwise I thought it was just really well done. The chemistry is so good and everything is so well done. Alison Cochrun is such a superstar. These two characters had such great communication because they always wanted to talk about the thing that happened, and I found it very enjoyable because it's very realistic too. I liked it. I really, really did, and I highly recommend it. And I've been seeing people reading this, and I am very happy about it because, that FF romances are usually at the bottom of people's TBRs. I'm happy that this one seems to be getting the hype, and I actually seen some vlogs where people really, praise it. So that's great. Personally, I was not into the idea of Alison Cochrun releasing a holiday-themed romance because I think for me, in my head, they are associated with something fickle. Something that you read or watch, Hallmark is at fault, obviously, and you don't remember it afterward. But this one has such an emotional depth that I think it would actually be a great novel to reread. I really like this. I think I have an old croissant somewhere. Let's see. Is it empty? No, I think we have something here. Yes, it is indeed a bag full of bags. I mean, it's not fresh, but I will eat it. everyone. I'm at my parents' house. Have you missed this background? It's been a while. Drinking some coffee. It's actually not bad. I'm not used to anything but coffee machine coffee since I got the coffee machine, but it's actually not bad. I think I overslept today because I woke up about an hour or an hour or so ago, but by the end of the year you kind of feel like you have not slept for a month. Especially with my schedule, I do not keep to a healthy one. At best, I go to sleep at 2 a.m. and I wake up about 9. I do nap sometimes, but it actually, I feel like it does even worse things for my schedule because I then can't sleep at night. I started listening to Matthew Prince. Wait, no. You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by 𝕊𝕆𝕻𝕻𝕻. I actually have an arc of his other book. It's hilarious that I have not read that one first because that one was a summer release, but if I'm going to enjoy this one, I'm going to read it, obviously. I'm liking it so far. I've seen a few reviews and people were not as impressed by it as I am right now, but it has a lot of the elements that I like. Matthew is definitely one of those rich, spoiled protagonists, and I don't mind them. I know that some people really dislike them. I personally see a lot of potential in them because it's easy to develop them, and I think it's in a very Christmas tradition to introduce a character like that and then to reform them, so I enjoy that. The writing style is pretty fun. It's very bright. This is a new way I'm going to describe this type of writing. This guy is from a very rich family. He's pretty spoiled. He's never accomplished anything in his life. He's in his early 20s and his voice reads like early 20s. Sometimes I read about early 20s characters and they're too mature. At 22, I was just as immature as I was at 17. He majorly fucks up and buys an island with his parents' money, obviously. And his parents, to cover up this PR disaster, send him to his grandparents that are not very wealthy. They also live in a very small town. So as he figured out, he's not very happy about it. He's complaining the whole time. He's trying to bribe everyone along the way to let him go back to New York. But he's stuck there, and he is potentially reforming as a character. There is potentially some emotional depth to him. He experienced things that he's not ready to talk about yet. There are some glimpses, something to do with his ex, something to do with tabloids, the whole shebang that we're used to seeing with celebrity type characters. And the catch that actually I'm very into is his grandparents are hosting his grandfather's student that doesn't have funding for lodgings. When Matthew arrives, he doesn't realize first that this guy is even there, that he's going to stay with them through the holidays, and also that this guy is going to live with him in the same room and they're going to sleep in a bunk bed, which to me is hilarious. Also, I love a roommate's romance, and I think that it has a lot of potential to be a favorite. I definitely am very excited. I just finished filming one of my end of the year videos. I know I have this year's because I was an elf. I decided to do something creative for once. Anyway, since I spent a lot of time with this makeup, I decided why not use it for the vlog as well and talk about the books that I read. I actually finished 2 more books. I finished Timothy Janovsky's romantic comedy, and it started well, but it quickly devolved into just being a Hallmark type book, which is not enough for me. I don't like holidays as much as other people do. These people exist, and I think these types of books are for these types of people. No shade to them. And Hallmark is also for them. So when I just get Hallmark in a holiday themed book, I'm not really happy about it because I want the book to transcend the subgenre. And this book didn't do that. So I gave it 3 stars. What I mean is the protagonist, for example, had anxiety and he called his anxiety demon or whatever Krampus. These types of details. I just felt like this book fits a certain subgenre and it doesn't give me what I want from a romance. So that's that. I also picked up Being Merry by Meka James, and Meka James never misses. I read Being Hospitable by her and loved it. I loved it. It was brilliant. She writes erotic romances. They're very short, but her characters have so much chemistry and you believe that they would be into each other in a very short amount of time. I love this as well. I give it 4 stars. It is about a woman that relocates for her job to a warmer climate somewhere in the US. I don't even remember anymore. It doesn't matter. And it's her first Christmas without her family, so she feels very, weird about that. But also she doesn't have an apartment yet. She's been living in a hotel. So her new co-worker offers her to move in with her sister. The heroine is a very sunshine type character and her love interest is a real grumpy type of person. I love this trope. You know that I love it. If you don't know that I love it, you now know that I love it. So I really enjoyed their dynamic. It was very jabby, spicy. It was very fun to read about. And the development was believable. The weird thing about this book is that the protagonist was obsessed with Christmas and holidays, and I thought I'm not going to enjoy the book because of that, but I loved it still because it was not the only thing that she was into, and there were reasons why she was. She's a doctor that works with kids, and it's very traumatic for her mentally. So she likes happy, childlike things. She likes dressing in a very fun way. She likes the holidays. So it made sense. And the book itself was not particularly focused on the holidays or Christmas. I love this novella. It's short. It's to the point. The characters are great. Meka James is iconic. She needs to write more FF. Hello everyone. I'm finally closing off this vlog. I am done with all the reading. I finished reading the last book. And while it was harmless and mediocre at worst, my thoughts strayed because I've unconsciously analyzed it and I got pissed off. I will walk you through it. The story in itself is harmless and even validating in a way for queer people, because I think queer romances in general are validating, and especially holiday romances, because holidays can be very difficult for queer people, and I understand that a lot of people need that because they have issues at home. And in general, the story is just your regular Hallmark type story about a girl that found some success in a big city. She's a musician now and she comes back home to a smaller town. She missed her environment, her family, her friends, and she finally realizes that she can do her job here in this small town. Also, she falls in love with her childhood best friend and she finds love, which is all good messages. It also made me think about something else, and that is the inherent cash-grabbing nature of everything holiday themed. As a marketing person, that is something that I think about a lot. The marketing of certain products and how a lot of it is exploitative. Every single brand wants to be associated with a holiday. Holidays are the time when people spend the most money, and I specifically see it in more capitalist countries. If we're looking at the US and some parts of Europe, Christmas is that big money spending time for people. What cola actually has to do with Christmas or New Year's? Absolutely nothing. There is nothing in its conception that is relevant to this holiday, but somehow they just carved this piece. People buy a lot of themed things for holiday. A lot of these things are technically not practical. No one needs to change Christmas decorations every single year, but people do that. And for most part, it's not because they want to do it. It's not something that comes from within us, but it's because we see all the shelves at the supermarkets filled with new decorations. So in many ways, I started seeing Hallmark type media as an extension of that. This book is also lazy. I'm seeing it as something that the author knew is going to sell because it's Christmas and people love to get in the mood for Christmas. So the author essentially decided that this is going to be a good marketing strategy. And marketing strategies are not evil incarnate. I'm not trying to say that. That is literally my job. But I'm coming from the place of consumer in this specific scenario because I bought this book and I consumed it. It's not a good romance. It's not a good product, but people will buy it because it's associated with the holiday. That's what I'm trying to say. The romance in it is underdeveloped and it's not good. And by good, I mean it lacks emotional depth. This protagonist never talked or never thought about her childhood friend before she met her again. So this big connection that the author is trying to tell me they've had, I don't see it. It's more, let me tell you that they've had a connection instead of let me show you that they've had a connection, that they have it now. And all these craft mistakes are dusted with a layer of Christmas sentimentality. I think it's just trying to play on my maybe emotional connection to the holiday and give me a bad product. And I decided that I feel pretty angry about that actually. Not only the book was basic, somehow it pissed me off. What we figured out in this video, you and me both, is that I don't like to be manipulated. Also, we figured out that if the romance is way too reliant on the holiday theme, I don't like it. I loved Kiss Her Once for Me, and I really liked Being Merry because while they were set during the holidays, they were books that you could read during the summertime and it won't feel weird because the holiday theme is not the most important part, it's just the background. That is my personal opinion, obviously. Tell me how you feel about this issue in the comments down below. Because I feel like it's a very interesting conversation and people have very different opinions on it. Tell me about holiday-themed romances or books that you actually love, not because they are holiday-themed, but because they're good books. The genre doesn't matter. I actually know a lot of people that love to read classics and believe that they are holiday-themed, even if the holidays are not a part of it. Happy holidays. I hope you're having a really good day today. I will see you soon with another video. I don't really know what it's gonna be, but it's going to be a video.